Strange.
Don't cast that spell. It's too dangerous. Fine. I won't.
If I die, it's your fault.
Man, you leaving town. Say you're married to the game, and I'm just here to burn it down.
I must stop him.
Welcome back, everyone. This is going to be my new Shang-Chi video, Spider-Man No Way Home video, explaining the Marvel Phase 4 timeline. A lot of people asking because there are a lot of scenes that seemingly connect between what's happening between those two movies and a lot of other stuff during Marvel Phase 4. If you're brand new to the channel, be sure to subscribe to get all the videos. I will be doing a bunch of Shang-Chi post-credit scene videos, Easter eggs, full breakdowns happening later this week after the movie comes out. Also, even though it's not totally related here, there's a really cool scene during this new trailer where you actually see the Mandarin watching all these video feeds here from all over the world from his operations in the 10 Rings. In this one monitor, you can actually see the scene from the very beginning of the first Iron Man film when the 10 Rings are hauling Tony Stark in to broadcast to the world that they're holding him hostage. But during the Shang-Chi movie, we see Wong fighting the Abomination Mortal Kombat style in this tournament before Shang-Chi fights his younger sister. So when Wong appeared in the Spider-Man No Way Home trailer inside the Sanctum that was covered in snow top to bottom, like winter had exploded inside the Sanctum, he and Doctor Strange, the other initiates there, have these thick winter coats on, and Spider-Man then shows up at the door to ask Doctor Strange if he can make it so Mysterio never revealed his identity one more day style. When Wong walks into the scene, he yells at Doctor Strange like, "Oh, hell no, don't you dare attempt that spell that I think you're talking about. It's too dangerous. Don't mess with the multiverse, alternate timelines, alternate realities. It'll only go wrong." Doctor Strange very sarcastically promises not to, then Wong nods and walks through the portal with a couple big luggage bags packed like he's going on vacation. Then Doctor Strange winks at Peter and they get to the one more day of it all with them going down to the basement of the Sanctum to do the spell that they said they wouldn't do. So after the trailer came out, we watched it a billion times, everyone was making the joke that Wong had packed his bags, all his junk up, and was heading off to fight the Abomination, like taking a little vacation to go kick some butt and earn some sandwich money. But here's the thing about the timeline of all the Marvel Phase 4 movies, they're all over the place. Even though they're releasing all the Marvel Phase 4 Disney Plus series and the movies in a certain order, the order that they're releasing them isn't the order that they happen in the timeline. And I'll also explain where the Eternals movie fits in here too. Because Eternals takes place right after Avengers Endgame, and we've already had a bunch of Marvel Phase 4 Disney Plus series set in present day, so the timeline is kind of a mess for a number of different reasons. Thank you very much, Loki and Sylvie. Currently it goes like this, so we're using Avengers Endgame as our starting point, like the end of Avengers Endgame, which ends around summer 2023. The Loki series literally starts while Avengers Endgame is still happening, so technically that's like the first new big Marvel Phase 4 thing in the timeline. The TVA comes to arrest Loki before the Avengers have had their final battle with Thanos before the blip happens, even though they jump around in the timeline during the Loki series, and the finale ends at the literal end of time. Most of the effects of what Sylvie did killing He Who Remains with all the Kang variants breaking free in their alternate timelines of the true multiverse, like if you think I'm bad, wait till you meet my variants. That's happening, and everyone else in the Marvel Phase 4 timeline, the movies, even the Marvel Phase 5 stuff in the future that's going to happen that we don't know about yet. All these characters in present day are feeling the effects of what Loki and Sylvie did while their series and their movies are happening. It's just that it hasn't gotten so bad, it hasn't escalated to the point where you see a bunch of Kangs from other realities busting into the MCU while these series are happening. Really good example is like while Falcon and Winter Soldier is playing out, you have to picture that in like a distant part of the multiverse, there's a giant war raging and it just hasn't made its way to the main MCU universe quite yet. But then right after that, the Eternals movie takes place over the course of the week after the ending of Avengers Endgame because of that 7-day countdown to the emergence that they talk about in the trailer. The emergence of that new Celestial that's ready to be born because it absorbs so much cosmic energy from the Infinity Stones and the Hulk's Infinity Gauntlet snap. Although technically Iron Man also snapped his Infinity Gauntlet right after that too. You have to imagine that just made things so much worse. But then the events of WandaVision pick up 3 weeks after Avengers Endgame, so like a couple weeks after the Eternals movie. Then Falcon and Winter Soldier takes place about 6 months after Avengers Endgame. Then right around the time that's happening, right around the ending of Falcon and Winter Soldier, the Black Widow post-credit scene happens with Yelena Belova and Val. Then right after that is when the events of the Hawkeye series are going to pick up, like a couple weeks after this Black Widow post-credit scene, so maybe like 7 months after Avengers Endgame, maybe a little bit more than that. But a lot of the Hawkeye series will take place in New York City, and obviously you have a lot of Spider-Man stuff happening there, so most of Hawkeye will take place before the events of Spider-Man Far From Home. Spider-Man Far From Home takes place 8 months after Avengers Endgame, because remember, it's like the school vacation, the school trip, the year after Avengers Endgame. So technically we're into 2024 when Spider-Man Far From Home is happening. Then as you see from the Spider-Man No Way Home trailer, it starts literally right after Spider-Man Far From Home, right after he's been doxxed by Mysterio and everyone starts freaking out. The events of the Shang-Chi movie are taking place while most of the Falcon and Winter Soldier, the Black Widow post-credit scene stuff is happening. Like Shang-Chi takes place later during 2023 after the effects of the blip have chilled out and life has kind of gotten back to normal mostly. Like you see the vibe in the Shang-Chi trailer when they're parking cars and it seems pretty chill in San Francisco. So all the reality warping, multiverse craziness that Spider-Man and Doctor Strange cause with the Sinister Six villains happens after the events of the Shang-Chi movie. Also, without getting into spoilers, the Shang-Chi movie is mostly concerned with explaining how and why he's going to cross over with Avengers 5 and work as part of the new Avengers team. That's why so many of the Shang-Chi trailers incorporate so much Avengers footage in setting up where they're going with the story of the Shang-Chi sequels, because they do plan on making sequels and pushing deeper into the mythology of the character that they established during the first movie. Like the Shang-Chi movie sets up a couple really big things, but doesn't completely answer every single question about where things come from, exactly how his power works, because they're saving a lot of that for sequels, the same way that they do with all the other Avengers movies, like the Thor movies, the Iron Man movies, Captain America movies. And they combine that teaser setting up the sequels with a big Avengers crossover teaser. And during that scene, it's pretty clear that none of the nonsense with the snow-covered sanctum has happened yet. Spider-Man and Doctor Strange haven't completely broken the main MCU reality yet. As crazy the Shang-Chi movie gets, like none of the Spider-Man No Way Home craziness stuff has happened yet. So that's why I say that the Shang-Chi movie seems like it ends somewhere around or just before the events of Spider-Man Far From Home. Just because there's so little time between the beginning of that movie and the beginning of Spider-Man No Way Home. The only big project on this list that I haven't really talked about during Marvel Phase 4 and present day is the Miss Marvel series, because it's not clear from the trailer footage in that if it's also happening during 2023 or if it's happening later in the timeline. They've delayed that series till early next year, it seems like, so we probably won't find out about that for a while, but don't worry about it. And even though there is a whole lot of Wong and Abomination stuff happening in the Shang-Chi trailers, they're not a really big part of the film. Like, that's just happening during this big fight scene here. Without getting into big spoilers, the movie just goes on to other big things. It's a largely self-contained movie in the way that Marvel movies nowadays tend to be very self-contained, even though there are big crossovers that happen within the films. Like Thor Ragnarok is a good example because there was so much Doctor Strange during that. It was obviously a really big crossover, and obviously we have a Spider-Man Doctor Strange crossover and Spider-Man No Way Home. But for the most part, the movies themselves are fairly self-contained. Like, it's not like Captain America Civil War where you have every single Avenger character crossing over and all their stories are given equal weight. Wong does serve an important role in the Shang-Chi movie, but he's probably not as big a presence in the film as you might think he is just looking at the trailer footage. It's the same situation with Doctor Strange in Spider-Man No Way Home, like obviously very critical to the plot of Spider-Man No Way Home because of the way he weaves the spell that helps them mess with reality to erase Spider-Man's identity from people's memories using alternate timelines, alternate realities. But the way they talked about the movie, it sounds like he's only in it for a little while, like he is stepping into the new mentor role that was previously occupied by Iron Man Tony Stark. And really, how much Iron Man was there inside Spider-Man Homecoming? Like a couple key scenes, couple important scenes, but really all told, he was probably on the movie for less than like 15-20 minutes. And it seems like Spider-Man No Way Home is supposed to be around 2.5 hours long, maybe not quite 2.5 hours. There was a recent news posting that claimed it was going to be 2.5 hours, but that might not be completely accurate. That might just be a placeholder. It's the same situation with all the Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield Spider-Man rumors. Like, how much of the movie are they actually going to be in? Probably not a whole lot, but I think the idea is that if things work out well, they'll just set up the concept that they could always come back in bigger ways in future films. And then we have the whole idea of the post-credit scene sort of pushing forward because Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness happens right after Spider-Man No Way Home. Like, if you thought they'd break reality during Spider-Man No Way Home, wait till you get to Doctor Strange 2 with Scarlet Witch and find out what she's doing. Although the funny thing now is that you can actually point at almost every single Marvel character that's at least in some sort of cosmic story is having broken the multiverse in some way. Like, you have Loki and Sylvie that very literally unleashed all the Kang variants and started the new Kang multiverse war. You have Spider-Man and Doctor Strange completely scrambling the main MCU reality, trying to combine it with a couple alternate realities and things going completely off the rails. You have Scarlet Witch with the Darkhold, and she has the power to travel between dimensions. So the community meme of Doctor Strange walking in with a pizza and everything being on fire is just so apropos. Like, everybody everywhere you look in Marvel Phase 4 is doing their best to completely break the multiverse. Later this week, once the Shang-Chi movie does come out, I will talk more specifically about what's going on in the post-credit scene, what they're setting up for Avengers 5, and how this is going to connect with all the other Marvel movies in the timeline. And speaking of Doctor Strange breaking things, my full What If Episode 4 video is going to post Wednesday just like normal. That's going to be the Dark Doctor Strange episode where he just goes completely off the rails. Make sure you have alerts enabled for my channel so you don't miss those. Everyone click here to learn what's going on with the Sinister Six in the Spider-Man No Way Home trailer, and click here for that brand new Black Panther 2 Wakanda Forever first look video. Thank you so much for watching, everyone stay safe, and I'll see you in the next video.